So I'm not sure what I wanted to call this video, but this just popped into my head and I felt like it was useful for people to hear about romance in general. So if you're not a conventionally attractive person, or you're not in the top, 20% of people on Tinder that get all of the right swipes, then there is a part of you that probably feels like you might be hopeless in terms of the dating market. And this is especially true when you meet somebody upon first contact. So when somebody meets you, there is maybe a lower probability that they will be sexually interested in you because you're not, above average in attractiveness. So this is an interesting thing. There was a study that was done. I'll put a link to the study in the description. But basically, what the study did is it tracked a bunch of college students upon the first class, or upon the initial meeting in the first class, and it had every college student rate each other based on attractiveness. So what they ended up finding is not really surprising. They found out that people, upon initially meeting people, rated pretty much the same people as attractive. So that meant that everybody had relatively, consistent consensus of who was attractive in the class and who wasn't that attractive or was average or whatever. And of course there was idiosyncratic. There was spots of idiosyncrasy. Some people thought this person was particularly attractive, where that was kind of like an outlier, but for the most part people agreed on who was attractive. Okay, so let's fast forward 6 months. They give this questionnaire again to the same cohort of students, but what they end up finding out is super interesting. What they end up finding out is that the levels of attractiveness that was the initial ratings of attractiveness had completely changed. And what that said is that, and what the data pointed to is the fact that the more that we get to know people, the more we start to their attractiveness fluctuates based on their personality and the values that they communicate. So that might mean that Rebecca, when you first meet her, is symmetrical, she's just hot, and upon first impression she has the halo effect. Whereas because she's attractive, she seems smart, she seems credible, she seems all these things. But then Rebecca says something really stupid about Donald Trump, and all of a sudden she's not attractive anymore, to you at least. But then Jill, on the other hand, who may, upon first glance, seem kind of banal or average looking or not particularly stimulating, says something that really, really aligns with your values. And because of that, there is an attraction that is formed from an identity, identity level. So anyways, a long story short, if you are somebody that is not traditionally attractive or conventionally attractive, that is not the end-all be-all or even the best strategy to find a mate. The best strategy to find a mate is, over the long term, 30% of people end up finding their husbands or wives in the workplace. But the best strategy for you is to get to know somebody and connect with them based on values that you have worked on in yourself. So when you find someone who aligns with your values, that's a much better predictor of compatibility and chemistry. And not only that, if you're somebody that is conventionally unattractive, or even just conventionally average looking, whatever it is, all of those things can shift for the better as long as you communicate who you are. If you communicate who you are in an authentic and transparent way, then you'll start to assort, or selectively find the people that match your values. And when they see you and they interact with you, you will start to become more beautiful to them, because you guys will share something that is a little bit deeper than just, phenotypical symmetry or whatever it is. So if you're the type of person that just isn't real confident, or like me, kind of looks average, there's hope for you. You should really try to just work on developing who you are at an identity level, and work on communicating that and being comfortable with that. And then and really communicating that is the emphasis here, because if you communicate that properly, then you allow people a clearer passage to who you really are. And if you can really communicate who you are, then the level of attractiveness that someone can feel for you it's just more of a beam. If you're cloudy about who you are, then it's kind of vague and it's hard for people to really connect to you. But if you're clear about who you are, and you're clear about what you want, like if you're the type of person that really values connection and security and affection and attention or whatever it is, and you communicate that to somebody, then you're more likely to polarize them to love you or hate you. But that's the best way to go about it. You don't want to be null to people. You want to uncover who you are and then communicate that in as direct and honest and compelling of a way that you can to somebody else. So this was kind of convoluted, but here's the moral of the story. If you're not that attractive on the onset, you can become more attractive to the person that is the right fit for you. And if they are the right fit for you, then it's probably better that you didn't just attract a bunch of people based on your body, because they're more likely to love you for who you are and be attracted to you for who you are, as opposed to just how you look in a fleeting moment when you first meet them. Anyways, hope that was helpful for whatever reason. Peace. High five.